Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Locked In. We're taking a short halftime break here with Malik Forté. You can find him at Malik Forté on Twitter and most of the socials here. And Malik, we wanted to take a short break from you running away with this lead. I think it's 28-12 right now. To take a second and kind of talk about your career a little bit here as a 10-plus year veteran of the gaming space, right? Yes. As a host, as a caster, as a personality, as a content creator. So one thing that has been asked a lot, I think, about you is, hey, you go cross-game. And you've been able to do that for such a long time. So what is some of the methodology towards learning a community? Because I asked earlier, how do you learn a game? And you dive in, it looks like you use the internet a lot to figure out what are the trends. But when you're ingratiating yourself with the community, what is something about that what are some of the ways that you do that?
Well, it kind of goes back a little bit into what I just said, where you kind of got to go in with the mindset of, I'm going to go pro in this game.
Okay.
And so once you start doing that, you start finding yourself playing against the high-level players, playing in scrims, playing in tournaments, and ultimately making friends with these people.
Yeah.
So, and getting respect.
Yeah.
That's the number one important thing, too, is you want to be respected by a lot of those professional players. They got to know that you understand their mindset, essentially. So I think that it's super important that if you are looking to go and commentate a game or host a game or be ingrained in that community, learn the game. Get in there and scrim and play against other folks who are high level with that game.
Yeah. Well, how do you do that, say, if you're learning a game? Do you just have a natural skill set no matter what you do that you're going to be good enough to get the attention of a pro or play with a pro? Like, what is specifically something that about you that allows you to do that?
I mean, I think it's just the competitive spirit that I have. being a former pro, and being somebody who's been ultra competitive in every game I've played, be it a fighting game, be it a shooter, be it a mobile, whatever the case, I always try to lock in and at least get the fundamental understanding of the game. And after that, I try to expand on those fundamentals. What can I do to give myself an edge in certain situations? Situational awareness is super important. Game sense. And then after that, can I embarrass somebody in this game? Am I good enough to do that?
What are some of the communities you think that took the longest for you to get ingratiated to? And then what are some that were just easy, fit like a glove when you just hopped right on in?
I can answer the second part first. Fighting game's easy.
Okay.
Because it's just you. So it's a 1v1 situation.
Yeah.
And if anything goes wrong in that match, the onus is on that one person.
Yeah.
And I think that having less pressure to carry teams and depending on other people, it's easier for me to get into fighting games.
I was going to say, that also makes it easier to chat with the player themselves because they know what happened or they know their version of what happened, and it doesn't mean like, hey, what did my teammate do or what did my teammates do? What was the game plan that my coach had for me? Like, it's literally like mostly on you in that situation.
Yeah, it's very clear cut. What was done wrong and what was not done wrong. And guys can have that back and forth, that dialogue, and really figure out, get into the brass tactics of the game.
So what is one that took a little bit longer for you to learn or kind of get into?
Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch. And I was playing Overwatch in alpha.
Yeah. But you were there at the beginning then.
I was there at the very beginning playing that game. But it has nothing to do with like learning the game and learning the game on an individual skill level. It's about learning your teammates and learning their roles and learning their positioning. It's so much of that involved in Overwatch. I felt like it was a lot harder for me to really master that game and master knowing like, oh, this person's playing McCree. They're probably going to hang out on a ledge and stand back here. I had to learn everybody's tendencies and things of that nature. So once I got in that mindset, it was a lot easier to ingrain myself in the Overwatch community.
Yeah, that's interesting to me that you've been able to do that cross game where you're hero building a team or you're hero building an individual. And I think the ability to go from understanding the team dynamics and what makes that interesting compared to like the like you said, the brass tacks of the 1v1 mind game and how deep those go in rivalries is so interesting. Yeah. How do you tie all those together, given that one requires multiple people and a lot of context there, and one is way more, it's a more laser focused, but it's deep?
Well, at the end of the day, competitive spirit and game sense, there's something that ties in, and that's just the ability to have composure and situational awareness at all times. And I feel like in any game that you play, there's going to be moments where you need to be one step ahead of your opponents.
Sure.
Or even your teammates.
Yeah.
When you're playing Overwatch, you're like, well, I know this guy doesn't hang out in the payload, so let me get there first.
Right.
And so I think that just the situational awareness and just the mindset and the thought process of being one step ahead is what has been interconnected between every competitive game experience that I've had.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's take a step back and like kind of look at, everyone always wanted to or wants to be a shoutcaster, like make a living in gaming. What was the first moment where you're like, whoa, I can do this. Whoa, this is something that is happening right now.
Yeah, I think for me, the first moment where I was like, I can do this, I was working with Blizzard and Heroes of the Storm was launching.
Yeah.
And they had a launch event. And they pegged me to host the event. I had a really good relationship with some folks at Blizzard from when I was a journalist.
Yeah.
And I was just supposed to be the hype guy just there, yay, the game's out today.
The energy man.
But they had a tournament at the event.
Okay.
And so they were like, well, you can just go ahead and, jump on a mic if you want to do it. So I had the microphone and I was talking about what was going on in the game. And people were like, well, this guy actually has some pretty decent analysis of the game.
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized, like, I could probably actually do something along these lines,
That's
and
right.
The rest is history, 'cause
Oh, for sure.
Blizzard pretty much gave me that lane and that opportunity to really hone in my skills in hosting and commentating.
That's awesome. That first time where we're like, wow, I'm able to provide value to the game beyond the game is such a great moment. It's really cool to hear that from you and that first time you got to do that. So that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us.
What was it for you? I'm curious.
For me, it was there's a convention that happens every year in the DC area. It's called MagFest, the Music and Games Festival.
MagFest, I love MagFest.
And so they had a League of Legends ARAM tournament that went until 2 a.m. because people just kept signing up and wanting to play. And they gave me the mic and they were like, hey, can you do this? And I was like, yeah, I can. And afterwards, everyone was like, hey, you're pretty good at it. And I was like, well, maybe I want to do something that feels pretty good.
That's all it takes, man.
That's all it takes. Thanks, man, for telling me I was pretty good at it. We're gonna take a short break. When we come back, we got more gameplay here with Rogue Company with Malik. We'll see you in a bit.